Donald Trump is wrapping up his overseas trip to Asia with perhaps his most controversial stop. Protesters gathered in the streets of Manila, burning signs depicting President Trump. He's in the Philippines, meeting with, among others, that nation's president. The president there often criticized by human rights activists for his violent handling of the country's drug war. Now, this overseas trip is focused primarily on trade in North Korea, and the president says he's going to make a major announcement Wednesday in Washington, D.C., regarding those two subjects.
WCCO Chief Political Reporter Pat Kessler joining us here in studio. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. So President Trump, he says he has a great relationship with the Philippine president. Yeah. Not everyone, though, sees this as a good thing.
Yes, he is thought to be, Duterte is thought to be one of the worst human rights abusers in the world, having killed reputedly thousands and thousands of people in this drug war. The president did not bring up human rights with him, as the White House first said. Now they're saying he might have brought it up briefly. So this is something that's really difficult, I think, for people around the world when he did not bring this up. On the other hand, there was a highlight, I think, for President Trump of this Philippines trip where the president of the Philippines sang to him. And it was really quite something to see. I mean, it's like, wait a minute. So it was a really unusual trip to the Philippines and an unusual trip, I think, overseas overall.
Well, we are really learning maybe a little more about how President Trump is going to handle foreign affairs and foreign diplomacy, where I think we are used to seeing presidents standing up for American policy, and what we're seeing President Trump do is trying to have interpersonal relationships with these folks.
Yeah, let's talk about that just a little bit, because the president says that he wants good relationships, particularly with Russia, but with the Philippines and others, even though there are human rights abuses. He says that it will help if we are friends, and he will have more influence over their governments. And perhaps he's right. It's going to take years to find that out. I really do think it's going to take a long time. But that is what he believes is going to happen. But there's also a shadow government going on Twitter. So the president is saying one thing with the governments of these other countries, but then saying something completely different on Twitter, as we've seen over and over.
Well, and the president, he also made waves over the weekend saying that he believed Russian President Vladimir Putin when he said that he didn't interfere in the 2016 election.
That's remarkable.
This was really interesting, not just because it was Veterans Day and he threw the entire intelligence community under the bus, but says that President Putin of Russia told him over and over again, and he believes that Putin believes this, that he did not meddle in the election, even though the U.S., the United States government's foreign intelligence agencies say it happened. So he's trying to walk that back a little bit, but once again, he calls the head of these agencies political hacks. So that's something we have to watch also.
Sexual harassment in the headlines, Hollywood, Washington, D.C., St. Paul at the Capitol. Senator Amy Klobuchar was on Meet the Press on Sunday talking about a Senate bill that would address the issue of sexual harassment training. Let's listen.
And I would point out it was bipartisan. Senator Chuck Grassley led it with me, and we thought it was really important that the Senate be a model for the rest of the country. And this is not just about senators. This is about everyone that have a safe workplace, from the shift worker to the nurse at the hospital to the teacher at the school.
So many harassment allegations.
Really distressing.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Is there something about politics or these kind of, you know, like the Capitol, for example, or Washington, D.C.?
Well, I think politics is the last place where this is actually coming to light right now. So what Senator Klobuchar is doing, I think, is pretty important. Republicans and Democrats joining together to say mandatory sexual harassment training. Pretty much every private company in America, including here at WCCO, we take these ethics tests, these sexual harassment
every year.
On a regular
basis,
year.
And this is going to be mandatory now for the United States Senate. This is going to happen in St. Paul also, here in St. Paul at the state capitol, in Minnesota's capital. This is also going to happen, but this is only the beginning of seeing all of this happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, because things need to change.
Yeah, it's
no
coming.
question.
Okay.
Thanks, Pat.